I've been getting a lot of comments from people saying that I should be a writer because of the ideas I keep coming up with. I still don't think of myself as a writer. Putting together a script for these videos is one thing, but fleshing out a complete story with proper character development is quite different. These are just my thoughts on what I hope to see in MLP's future. And continuing on with that thought, I have another idea for a slice of life episode that I'm hoping to see. As I have mentioned before, I thought there were a few elements in Season 3 that seemed lacking. And one of these elements is the fact that Rarity did not get to be the focus in any of the episodes. So, for Season 4, I am hoping that she will have more than one episode that makes her at least part of the main focus. There is still far more that we can explore with Rarity's character, and her episodes have a certain charm to them that I enjoy seeing every once in a while. We have known about Rarity's dream of joining the Canterlot elite since the very first episode. When Twilight mentions that she comes from Canterlot, Rarity exclaims how enthralled she is with the city. The glamour, the sophistication. She has dreamed about living there. And whenever one of the Canterlot elite comes to visit the Carousel Boutique, Rarity goes all out on trying to impress them. We see this when Hoity Toity comes to see Rarity's new line of dresses. We see this when Sapphire Shores makes a surprise appearance at the shop. We see this when Photo Finish comes to take pictures at the boutique. Whenever Rarity has the opportunity to make an impression on one of the Canterlot elite, she does her utmost to show that she is worthy of their attention. However, it isn't until Sweet and Elite that we see Rarity making an impression on the whole of the Canterlot elite. She had opportunities with certain individuals before, but never with so many of them at the same time. Of course, this was not Rarity's first visit to Canterlot. Throughout Season 1, she had been preparing to make her first impressions at the Grand Galloping Gala. More specifically, she wanted to impress a certain member of the Canterlot elite, Prince Blueblood. However, the Grand Galloping Gala was far from what she had been anticipating. Not only was she largely ignored by most of the guests at the gala, Prince Blueblood was anything but charming. This was Rarity's first wake-up call about her dreams, and it didn't take long for Rarity to regret having ever wanted to meet the prince. With Sweet and Elite, though, Rarity gets the attention of a great many members of the Canterlot elite at once, although that wasn't her intention when she first arrived. She only wanted to enjoy her stay in the city. It is only after some unicorns believed her to be less than worthy of their attention that Rarity gets back into her desires to leave a good impression on others. And of course, having a chance run-in with the elite of the Canterlot elite certainly didn't hurt. Fancy Pants seems quite different from any of the upper-class ponies that we've seen before. He certainly holds himself to a higher standard, but is actually polite and positive. And once he discovers that Rarity is staying at the suite inside the castle, and that she was invited to stay there by Celestia herself, Fancy Pants invites Rarity to join him at some of the upper-class events. And Rarity is overwhelmed by all the opportunities that come with having the attention of so many upper-class ponies at once, to the point of neglecting Twilight's birthday present and even telling a few white lies in order to stay in Canterlot. Her dream of joining the ranks of the Canterlot elite had given Rarity the drive to improve upon herself, but it also began to take her time away from her other priorities in life. It is rather fortunate that her friends are so supportive of her dream, and it is admirable that when the time came to make a choice, Rarity realized that she should not be ashamed of where she comes from. And I'm glad to see that even Fancy Pants was still being polite and positive even after finding out about Rarity's humble beginnings. Sweet and Elite showed us so much about Rarity's aspirations and even a few things about the life she intends to lead. But I still think that there is more to explore with this aspect of Rarity. Even with so many of the Canterlot elite finding out about Rarity's origins, I believe that at least some of them can still see Rarity's potential for the future. And I believe that this could make for an interesting story that would help us learn more about who Rarity is and what she stands for. First off, we would need an opportunity for Rarity to have a shop in Canterlot, a place similar to the Carousel Boutique, where Rarity could work on her designs and sell her creations. I can think of a couple different ways that this could work. First off, with Twilight being a princess, that could easily lead to some leeway at the equestrian capital. Rarity wouldn't even have to ask Twilight for help, as Twilight already knows just how much Rarity would love to run a shop in Canterlot. It would be rather easy for Twilight to provide this opportunity. But even if the writers didn't want to include Twilight in this story, I could also see Fancy Pants providing this opportunity for Rarity. He has shown himself to be more understanding than the other members of the Canterlot Elite, and I can easily see him wanting to include Rarity in some other upper-class events at the capital. But Fancy Pants wouldn't be directly involved in helping Rarity to run her shop. This would be the sort of thing that Rarity would really want to try and tackle on her own. Feeling on top of the world, Rarity would be doing her utmost to show her brilliance and creativity in the world of fashion and design. And many of the Canterlot elite would be asking for Rarity's personal touch in creating their clothing. Somewhat similar to Sweet and Elite, Rarity would be getting the attention of many at once. And Rarity would be working herself relentlessly in order to fulfill all these requests. But Rarity wouldn't allow any amount of exhaustion to stand in her way of achieving her lifelong dream. After all, this is where she has wanted to be, and she won't be letting that chance go to waste. After some time has passed, though, Rarity would begin to realize that she is feeling drained, not from overworking herself, but rather feeling less passionate about her work. And at first, Rarity wouldn't understand why. Now, there could be a lesson here about spending less time with her friends and realizing how much they support her in these efforts, and that would certainly fit well within the overarching theme of this show. However, I feel that this kind of lesson would be a little simplistic and feel quite similar to some other lessons that Rarity has learned in the past. And I have a better idea on the kind of lesson that Rarity could learn here that would also show us a bit more depth to her character. Throughout the episode, we would be seeing many different members of the Canterlot Elite requesting Rarity's services. And of course, Rarity would be able to deliver on everything they want and more. But there would still be a feeling of emptiness that would continue to grow the more Rarity is fulfilling these orders. Then there would be a moment when a couple of high-class ponies come into her shop, along with their young filly that is just tagging along. Rarity would be going through her normal routine of showing them her wares, and the couple would start discussing with each other about what they would want. Rarity would be waiting patiently for them to finish when she would notice the young filly off in a corner looking at one of the dresses. Wanting to be polite, Rarity would start asking what the young filly is looking for. And it quickly becomes apparent to Rarity that this young filly is often neglected by her parents and doesn't think too highly of herself. And with a smile on her face, Rarity begins to show this young filly about how to see herself in a different light. Showing her some fabric and gem combinations, Rarity is able to assist this young filly to find a little confidence in herself by helping her to feel beautiful. And Rarity would start to feel her inner spark returning as she is helping this young filly. That is, until her parents come along and start demanding that Rarity help them with their decision. Still ignoring their own filly, they insist that Rarity help them to find the perfect dress to show up another couple when they attend a high-class event this evening. And at this point, Rarity would begin to realize why her work had started to feel so empty. She would understand the difference between helping a less than confident filly to think herself beautiful and helping a high-class couple to show off how rich they are. Feeling a little stunned, Rarity would be speaking softly and informing the couple that they should find their business elsewhere. Of course, this high-class couple would be outraged and immediately turn up their noses at Rarity. And Rarity would have to realize that her dream of running a boutique in Canterlot would be falling apart. But as the family is leaving the shop, the young filly would turn and thank Rarity for her generosity. Though no longer wearing the multicolored fabrics and shiny gems that Rarity had put on her, she had had a moment where she actually felt beautiful. And she is able to spend the rest of the day feeling more confident about herself. The episode would then bring Rarity back to Ponyville. I could also imagine a pleasant conversation between Fancy Pants and Rarity about what makes a pony respectable in high society. Fancy Pants would once again show his charm and understanding while giving a few of his own words of wisdom. And while not giving up on her dream to be respected by the Canterlot elite, Rarity would be more appreciative of her work at the Carousel Boutique, helping others to find beauty and building upon their self-confidence. I believe this could be a wonderful lesson for Rarity to learn, helping her to realize why she wants to help spread beauty to those around her. And we, as the audience, would gain a greater appreciation for Rarity's character, as we would be seeing another reason why Rarity is the element of generosity. Now let me pose you a question. Is it right to conduct your business in such a manner that you don't worry or don't involve yourself in the motives behind your customers? After all, you are in business to make a profit, aren't you? In this hypothetical episode, Rarity stops and begins to ask herself what is the actual motive behind her passion. What are the core values that drive her to do what she loves? When pursuing a passion, it is always good to make periodic self-checks, to step back and ask yourself if your efforts are truly satisfying your core values, regardless of outward successes. Many people, after having gotten deeply into a cause, step back and realize that they are no longer happy with what they are doing. Throughout history, we see many examples of those who simply choose to walk away from their work, much to the surprise and disappointment of those around them. I think these sudden changes of heart are really not changes at all, but simply the result of a self-check, leading to the realization that one's efforts are no longer leading towards one's goals. Coming back to Rarity, in this case she would realize that her work in fashion and design was no longer truly helping others. Instead, it was being used only to further elevate those who were already in high society, for no other purpose than to spite their peers. This sadly does nothing to fulfill Rarity's core value of generosity. It does, however, give her a much clearer focus and vision of what she truly wants out of life, which is what ultimately leads her back to where she started. What do you think? Would this kind of episode fit well within MLP? Would this character trait go with what we know about Rarity? Would you have any more respect for Rarity if she had this kind of episode? I would like to hear your thoughts on both Rarity and how she can build upon her element of generosity, and perhaps we can gain a greater appreciation for Rarity in the future. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.